Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the opening of a new mosque in Sintra and whether or not this is something that we should be celebrating. Sintra is a municipality which is located quite near Lisbon. It's in the Lisbon region on the coast down there, and it has about 378,000 inhabitants, of which, according to IMA statistics, around 63,000 were actually foreigners as of 2023 data anyway, which represents an increase of around 33% on the previous 2022 data. So the foreign population of the municipality is certainly growing at some speed. This video doesn't concern immigration generally, but is basically looking at the opening of a new mosque in Kasaim, which is one of the biggest parishes in Sintra. The mosque is located in a renovated space. I tried without success to find out what kind of building the mosque had been previously in its previous life, because in the UK we often find that things like pubs and community centres are often renovated and transformed into mosques, but I wasn't able to pin down anything in the Portuguese press regarding this, so it's still a mystery. But anyway, suffice it to say the mosque has been opened in a renovated building. It was paid for by donations. We don't actually know who the donors are, but basically from the Muslim community, and I suspect also possibly from contributions from diplomatic missions of Muslim countries. That tends to be common, and certainly in the cases of other mosque construction exercises in Portugal, there have definitely been offers of financial assistance from the embassies of Muslim nations. There were various dignitaries or invited guests present at the opening of the mosque. A gentleman called Tejado, sorry about the pronunciation of that, I don't think it's a Portuguese name at all, I have no idea where he's from. Anyway, he is the vice president of the local Islamic Association, and he was basically taking care of the ceremony and the inauguration of the new mosque. Mr. Tejado also pointed out the presence of the councillor from the Sintra Council for Solidarity and Social Innovation, as well as the heads of the parish councils of both Kasaim and São Marcos. So I think that indicates that there is at least government support for this initiative, at the very least at the local level within the parishes and within Sintra as a municipality anyway. Also, according to Mr. Tejado, there are over 1,000 Muslims living in Kasaim alone, so it's a substantial component of the population, and this now affords them a place where they can worship. He stated that the venue is a fantastic place to welcome people. I'm not entirely sure what he means by that, and that you find yourself in a state of peace and tranquility when you enter the building. So he obviously has his religious convictions and believes that the mosque is an important part of the community. If you look at some of the pictures of the people who were in attendance at the opening ceremony, I think it's fair to say that a substantial proportion of them are of African origin, and I think that indicates that Kasaim perhaps has a large number of immigrants from Africa, African Muslims living there. Mr. Tejado also indicated that this mosque was not ideal. You know, it's an older structure which they renovated into a mosque, but the ambition is to build a totally new one, and that they were in talks with Sintra City Council. Basically, the municipality is helping the Islamic Association to find land in order to construct a new mosque, a totally new structure, as has been done in a neighbouring municipality. Now my question there is, when they say help them to find land, does that mean subsidise the land? And why are the city councils helping this religious association do that? That's the area where it crosses the line for me into, an area of discomfort. I think, Portugal is a secular state. The majority of the population are Christian. They're certainly not Muslim or Hindu or Sikh or anything else. We have freedom of religion for sure, but why should the state be supporting religion and the expansion of religious infrastructure, especially a religion which is really a minority religion in Portugal, why is it that local politicians are so keen to get involved with this and, for example, help with the procurement of land? For me, it strikes me as something which really shouldn't be a priority. I think there are a lot of other things which Portuguese local politicians should be paying attention to, such as the provision of decent local services, before they turn attention to something like this, which really serves just a minority group in the community, albeit a group which is rapidly increasing in size. Also, I think we have to ask the question, what is this mosque going to be used for? I think across the European continent, whenever mosques are opened and if they receive government grants or whatever, they're always painted as being available for the entire community. But I think that that really isn't the case at all. While the people who are running the mosques may like to create the picture that, you know, the mosque is serving the entire community with a whole range of services, in reality, it's basically just the Islamic community which are able to take advantage of those services. So I think that that argument that, you know, mosques are like some kind of community centre is just false. Another thing that I feel that should be mentioned is that, you know, in Portugal or in European countries, Muslims can come here and they can open a mosque and they can worship freely. But I think it's important to bear in mind and not to forget that across the Islamic world, there are many countries where Christians are persecuted, including, of course, many of the countries where these individuals in Sintra probably come from initially. For example, places like Pakistan, they have horrible blasphemy laws which lead to the persecution of Christians. In Nigeria, especially in the northern province, they have Sharia law, which really has very negative implications for the Christian community there. And in Saudi Arabia, it's illegal to build a church even. And just generally across most parts of the Arab or Muslim world, being Christian, building churches is not something which you can really do with all that much freedom and without risk of negative consequences. I think it should be remembered that there is an extreme contrast between, you know, the situation that we're finding in Europe in how Muslim immigrants are being treated and indeed how Christians are being treated in the very same countries that many of these people come from. For me, the most concerning thing is just the involvement of local government in this. I really dislike the involvement of the state in religion. If people want to open a mosque by themselves, if they can get the appropriate permissions, then I think that's fine. But for local governments to be actually actively involved in helping them procure land and stuff like that, I think that that crosses the boundary. I do not believe that that should be something which is occurring. And I would like to ask Portuguese members of the audience, you know, what they feel about this. Do you think that the expansion of basically Islamic religious infrastructure in Portugal is something that you welcome? Do you think it's something that the local government where you live should be paying attention to? Or do you think it's the wrong priority and that we should focus on maybe more measures to encourage immigrants into Portugal and indeed Europe to actually integrate into the culture of the country that they have come to? Or do you think it's fine and we should have more mosques with tall minarets springing up all over Portugal? You know, Sintra has many castles and stuff like that. Maybe minarets would fit in well there. I really don't know. Please let me know what you think about this. Is this something which should be encouraged? Is it something which we should celebrate? Or on the other hand, is it something which is maybe a source of concern? Alright, well that'll do it for this video. I hope people found it informative and interesting, and I'll see you soon in the next one.